from the age of 14 up until like even now at 26, like I've just been kind of grappling with this heavy, really weird, dark feeling. And sometimes it gets easier to shake, sometimes it doesn't. In high school, it definitely wasn't easy to shake, mostly just because I didn't know what it was and I couldn't put a pin in it. I couldn't identify it. I just knew that like I didn't feel good and I didn't feel like I had a lot of support to help me feel good or to help me figure out what was wrong. I didn't feel like I could turn to anybody. I grew up living with my mom. She had sole custody, and then my dad saw us like on weekends. And my mom remarried, and her second husband was a total dick. But from him came my brother, and he's not a dick. He's awesome. But my house was just this weird, kind of walking on eggshells, very high tension, stressful environment because my stepdad was such like an angry, looming, awful presence. My mom is currently a functioning alcoholic. She's gotten better, but at the time it was like, throughout high school, I clocked it even more, but I was always aware of it growing up. So that kind of contributed to how she and I kind of got on. Because after a certain time in the evening, I couldn't sit and have a conversation with my mom and my stepdad because they were intoxicated. And when they got intoxicated, they got verbally violent. They just knew how to get into your brain and really make you feel awful. And then if I tried to stick up for myself, it was shot down and it was made invalid. You're being a drama queen. What you're feeling is wrong. Your feelings aren't valid. Those were like things that I heard a lot growing up. So I didn't open up with that notion that I would be burdening people. And also just feeling like no one really gave a shit because no one in my house appeared to give a shit. So why would anybody else give a shit? And that was when I first experienced suicidal tendencies. Just sitting in English class, I remember just fantasizing about that and just daydreaming and wondering what that would be like and feeling like that's where I would get to. Because yeah, I didn't feel like I had anybody to talk to. And I was so insecure. One night, actually, I was out at a theater party. It was my grade 12 years, I was 17, and it was just all women. It was me and my best friend and a bunch of older women in my theater community. And one of them had recently gone through a divorce. And she was this awesome lady, or is this awesome lady, she's great. And she was somebody who I turned to for advice because she was also my hairdresser. Whenever I would go into the chair to get my hair cut, I guess I would subconsciously just drop these little hints or express these little feelings of insecurity. And I guess she started clocking that. And one night we were at this party and we were having a big bonfire. And that's when we got to talking, and somehow I just felt safe enough to open up. And I remember distinctly saying, like referring to my best friend, like, you know, sometimes my day just gets so lonely, so sad. And my best friend, she's the only one who asks me how my day is, like how my day is going, or how I'm doing. She was the only buddy who ever expressed that. And I remember just the circle just kind of going quiet. And then I just kind of started spitballing more. And then finally, like I was inside getting a soda, and this woman my hairdresser, who had just gone through a divorce, pulled me aside and she said, "Demi, I want to tell you how brave you are for talking about your feelings. Do you talk about this stuff often?" Because I think I had mentioned how depressed I felt. And I said, no, I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to scare them. I don't want to this, I don't want to that, excuse. And then I just remember her pulling up her shirt and she said, "You need to talk to people, otherwise this is going to happen to you." And she pulled up her shirt, and on her wrist were like horizontal scrape marks. And this woman was like in her mid-40s, had her shit together. And I was like, oh my God, that really hit me. Is that if I didn't start opening up about how I was feeling, then I would sink so low that maybe I would result to something like that. Which was terrifying because not just earlier that day, like I had been thinking about that. It was interesting. I took a trip to Europe with my sister after my first year at UBC. And we just I remember us sitting in a courtyard in Verona, and we just started talking about our feelings. And my sister and I have always been close, but we've never talked about mental health. We've never talked about sadness, really, or what it means to be sad, or what it means to feel like you're sad constantly. And we talked more about my mom and my stepdad's divorce, and my mom and my dad's divorce, and how that has impacted us as kids. And it made me feel safer because I felt like I finally had like a solid confidant who understands inside and out what I'm going through, because we're going through the exact same thing.